Hey, it's the podcast guy.
Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United of the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this. But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United, the National League, are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast. I'm your host, Mike. We're filming from the club today. That's why I'm in the away shirt. I'm away from my little cubby hole. What could go wrong? It's already cut out once, so it's going swimmily. Joining me today is Ed, who is the Chief Commercial Officer at Sutton United. Hi, Ed. How are you?
Hi, very well, thanks. Thanks for coming in.
Beautiful. Thanks for inviting me to have a little look around. We're going to have a look around the rooms, I think, and have a little chat about different things and what's been going on in the year since we last spoke. Well, 340 something days, so it's not quite a year. Just remind people who you are, a little bit of what your post and role entails.
Yeah, that's fine. My name's Ed Marsh. I got involved with the club about 15, 16 months ago now. Initially, when I came in, it was really just to kind of help out across an array of areas. So one day it might be Hardington, trying to find a new training ground. The next day it would be, how can we improve our offering in any particular area? And then just before Christmas, around October, November, conversations happened and I became Chief Commercial Officer. So part of my remit now is obviously to try and drive the business side of the club. Mm-hmm. It's been an exciting 8-9 months to say the least.
I mean, it's obviously we've spoken a few times before. It's a strange little situation we're in that we've got the sort of core fans who've been fans for many, many, many years, and when we're outnumbered by the young ones who have got all those 30, 40 years to come. So it's kind of a difficult balance to try and keep everyone happy, because you've got gits like me who want to come stand in his spot and do what he's done for the last 30 years, and then you've got the young ones who want to set off flares at every opportunity. So it must be a bit of a balance for you guys.
Yeah, of course it is. And you know, we want to grow. We want to attract new fans to the club, obviously. You know, it's a prerequisite of us growing as a club is attracting new fans and younger fans, and long may they have the pain or happiness of long-term supporting of a club like millions of fans around the world. But finding that balance is really important. And I think, you know, at the moment, as we go into our third full season as a league side, it's always nice to say that. You know, we're having to make decisions all the time to try and bring the fan base along with us. Some of them aren't always easy decisions, but you know, we never forget the customs and traditions of the club. We never try and forget the core values of the club, and you have to find that line between progression, increasing attendance, ultimately increasing budgets for people like Matt, going up the leagues, having better football, which is the product everyone wants at the end of the day, and fans want to see great teams and you know, great seasons. And we need to find that balance constantly off the pitch with how we run the club as a business.
So we're still not hearing that Mike's spot is safe from destruction.
I can't.
AB wouldn't commit. No one commits to this.
I am sitting on the fence a little bit longer. But yeah, there's obviously there's plans in the offing.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are chatting. You probably can tell in one of the in the boardroom. Sorry, not in one of the boardrooms, but in the boardroom. So this is one of the rooms that's had a little bit of a revamp. So talk us through it. Let people know what's been going on. In
Yeah,
this room
so I think 18 months ago the boardroom was probably. Some people would like to say it was vintage. Some people would like to say it's dated. And I think all we've done is we've just given it a very nice spruce up to give it, a very modern feel with, new carpet, new chairs, lovely new boardroom table. But then, like I said, the club has probably never had so many old photos out of the archives up on the wall. So we've reconstituted old photos we found. As I mentioned to you, we've got the 1898 photo as centerpiece up there, surrounded by other great photos from our history, some of the players throughout the last century. So it's really bringing it back to life. And one of the things we're really determined to do is we don't want things stuck away in cupboards. Everything here belongs to the fans, as far as I'm concerned. So, and we want to get it up. And when we go to some of the other rooms, I think you'll really see what we mean by that. We want to bring it back, everything back to the fans, and have that connection with the today and the yesteryear.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this is the second time only ever in this room, and the first time was after the 125th anniversary, where they sort of said, does anyone want a tour? And it was very much, again, a Sutton United thing, well, no one's going to be interested in that. And suddenly there was a whole mass exodus of people wandering around. I've not been in here before. No reason to come in here, so it's nice to have a look around. Yeah,
it's a place on match day where obviously we have the directors both home and away, and this is where some of the main sponsors will be brought up to have those finer conversations. And it's a place of business and a place of work all the time.
Yeah, and I suppose what you needed is James Bailey to say in need of modernisation. is what he would have put it.
There you go.
So there were a few things, I know we're going to move around a little bit, but there were a few things from our last chat that I wanted to kind of pick up on and pull on the thread to see where we are with them. We had just moved in or just taken over Harlington at that point. And it's just recently been announced that we've extended it by another year.
Yeah.
I know you're involved in the sort of the sourcing of it and getting it ready.
Mm-hmm.
How much have you had to do now, or is that you're kind of like, it's done?
For me, that's done.
Yeah.
It's. I think there are so many people that contribute to that whole project. Adrian, Tim, the volunteers who have been up there to work on the site as well. We have a great relationship with them down there, and it's really given us stability. We don't have players saying to taxi drivers, keep going, not getting out. We've suddenly got we've taken over a championship quality training facility. Mm-hmm. I think in the interviews, recent players, I think a few of them mentioned it. This is what a facility this is. I think, have you been there yourself?
I haven't yet.
Okay,
no.
So it's they have all the trappings that they could want, but most importantly, Matt has things he needs to progress. And the football side of it is just getting more and more professional every single day. And Matt and his team, we want to give them everything we can to enhance performance and prepare for matches. And Harlington was just a really important step in that. And just the continuity in location. I know some people at the time sort of mentioned, it's miles away. But you know what? We have players from northeast London, from the south coast. We have players from Swindon. We have players from all over the place. And in League Two, there's a hell of a lot of driving goes on.
Yeah.
Players need to get to locations wherever they may be, and they don't up and move their families. They can't just buy £1 million flats like Premiership players if they're going on loan for 6 months.
Exactly.
So the location's actually okay. But like I said, ultimately it's for Matt and his team and his players, and I think they're very happy there. And having a second year there just gives that confidence to players to know where they'll be for another 12 months. So, yeah, it's been a really exciting development for us, and I think it was a move of intent. People started to notice Sutton United moved into a place that Chelsea and Queen's Park Rangers had. It wasn't another school or something. It was a very, very good training centre. So I think that's really noticed by people.
Absolutely. So this may kind of follow on to another question. The academy side have just announced something with I forget the name of the team now. I can't remember their names. School with this. They've just announced a new sort of training centre.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the ladies' side as well. Obviously, trying to find a home. Is that any closer, or are we still in negotiations?
In terms of the ladies, we'd love to find a permanent home for them as well. After the 3G was removed, we had a scattergun. Everyone had to run away and quickly find a new training ground. And I know everyone behind the scenes is working really hard to try and bring that back down to smaller numbers. I'm not sure how many teams we've got off the top of my head now with the new academy set up, but it's double figures plus the women. So we don't really want people flying all over the southeast of England. So I know there are conversations going on, and there's continuous work trying to find places for everyone to have their own centre.
In that respect, I suppose Harlington could become a bit of a burden almost, because when we find somewhere in Sutton, it's not going to be exactly like for like. If we find somewhere in the local, it's not going to be exactly like for like. So we're like, oh, have we lost something from there? Or?
Yeah, I think we'll always treat, I don't put words in anyone's mouth, but I imagine we'll always treat that first team, which is kind of what the whole club needs to kind of work around. The club success is ultimately built on the first team success. I think we all have to come to terms with that. Whilst we want to build up every other element of the club, our success as a club will rise or fall on their success. So I think, I don't think anyone would move the first team if it wasn't in the best interest of Matt and his team. So I think all these conversations to be had in the future. You may be bringing the academy in, it may be whatever it may be, but I think the first team will always lead the centre of excellence, or the best in class we can possibly give them at any given stage.
And it is miles away. I've looked it up, but it's not, as you say, miles away for everyone. And there's been a few players that I started a rumour on, and I was like, well, actually, he's from very close to the area, so he would suit him.
I think at the time Matt said, half the players have to travel miles anyway. So when we moved to Harlington, the other half were kind of put out. But, we're not going to please everyone.
No, absolutely. Time. Yeah, absolutely. And South Park, I've just remembered the name of the place where the academy have gone with their 3G pit, South Park. So, right, well, we're going to move on to a different room and pick up elsewhere. Was there anything else you wanted to mention on this room? Or
no, I mean, I think it speaks for itself. It's looking younger and fresher, and hopefully, we can bring in hundreds of millions of pounds worth of sponsorship in the next few years by bringing them into places like this.
You heard it here first. Okay, time for the crotch shot as we get up. So we've had a little move around, which is going to kind of probably lead into where my next set of questions. But do you want to talk us through the players' bar?
Yeah. So this has always been an area that's kind of, since I've been here anyway, I've always felt it's been really underdressed, underutilised, and it hasn't really connected back with the fans as much as we wanted it to. So I think it's quite clear with the work that's already started. Again, I go back to my point about the archives. I don't like things sat in archives collecting dust for 1,000 years. So this is why the pennants have gone up on the wall. We found, the amount of photos we found from the early part of the 20th century and even the 1899 1900 photo. We've had those redone and put back up on the walls. We've had some brilliant donations. So all the posters you see around from the international tours, and pre-season tours, and cup competitions have gone up. We're expecting a few more big posters to go up as well. 2 massive new TVs. I want to make this a real sporting feel to it, but a Sutton sporting feel. You know, surround ourselves with the memorabilia and history of the club, and make this of this kind of the venues we have. Make this the real kind of fan. Somewhere you come.
I was going to say that little corner over there is where Dunbo said, "Hey, it's the podcast guy," which is part of the intro. So that corner's got it's historical.
Corner's not going. I assure you, the corner's not going. But you know, we love to have this open for football during the week on TVs and all that kind of stuff. So we want to make this a real sports bar kind of vibe.
Okay, excellent. I mean, that kind of then leads on a little bit more about one of the other things we discussed last time was the fan zone.
Yeah.
I know you were really looking forward to that and you were really keen on it.
Yeah.
One of the very first conversations that we ever had was, I hate people queuing for booze. Get them with their drink.
Yeah.
But how pleased have you been with the success of the fan zone and how it's kind of changed, really? I mean, it started off with just a box and a couple of chairs.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a massive change this season as well. I won't go into that too much, but there's big improvements coming on that front as well. Do you know? I think when we had a fans forum and someone was, I'm not going to say moaning, somebody was making points that it could be improved, and I think my response at the time was, isn't it good that we're trying to upgrade, or we're not happy with something that didn't exist 6 months ago at the time? So that's kind of progression in itself. So absolutely take on everything on board that was said, and we are looking to develop that. All I say to fans is just remember that it's still going to be a temporary effort, because there's no hiding, and I think it's a worst kept secret that the aim is to move the away fans from behind the goal at some point, and then develop a really big fan zone behind the away end. So whilst we want to do as much as we can in the current location of the fan zone, it is with a mindset that it is temporary, and it will all move essentially probably next summer, 24.
Okay. It definitely needed to happen because I've come for years and I've seen people, and even when my daughter came with me, coming down the little driveway there to go into the bar, it looks like a private function's going on. It's like we can't go in there, and people were turning around and walking down the road. And it's like, I think you said to me, I'm not going to put you on the spot for exact figures, but for every pound or pint that's bought, that's money in the budget because of the old financial fair play.
I think it was something like for every 100 fans who come an hour early and buy a drink over the course of the season, the figures are actually quite astounding at what that adds up to. Obviously, you still come down and have 3 pints before a game, so it really doesn't. So it doesn't take a lot to increase annual revenue quite substantially.
Yeah, and in your answer, I don't know if you've seen my sheet, but you were talking about supporters' engagement and feedback, and how sort of important is that to you? Has there been any, other than the one you mentioned, been challenging, or actually surprisingly, that's really useful, that's led on to other things?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of the football club. I'm a fan of Sutton, obviously, by default now, but I support my own club as well, and I found myself getting very frustrated at times about things, and then I get away, and I probably understand some of the arguments where I give it some time. I think we have we're trying to build a really good relationship with fans, and Claire does a fantastic job in her role, and it's absolutely fundamental to us to get feedback because of the size of us at the moment. We have such a cool following who've been here for so long. Everything will grow from them essentially. So we need to communicate as much as possible. We need to engage as much as possible, and we need to, like I said upstairs, we need that link between what's happening tomorrow and next year and what happened last year and 50 years ago. So remember and bring our past with us and bring people with us on this journey.
Yeah, and the forums kind of give feedback. I know we've got sort of various different little groups, or we do the fans forums. What is it? Through Claire, the best ideas.
Yeah, Claire's the best point of contact for the fans. But I think this club's quite unique in that, you know, on any given home match, you can walk up to myself or any of the senior team here, or indeed any of the board members you see, and they're happy to chat with you. I think we have such a close relationship with the fans, and you know, everyone is a fan of the club here, so they're always looking to improve and find the small margins.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that, sure. Talk about the matchday experience. One of your key things was to improve the matchday experience, which I'm guessing is never one that you can tick because it's a constant improvement.
Yeah, I set the events guys probably the most daunting task I've ever seen. I think they laughed when I first did it. I said, I want us to be pound for pound the best matchday experience in England within 2 years. And I went, oh, you're serious? Yeah, why not? Think big. So I think through the latter stages of the season just gone, you know, we started to see more and more happening on match days, whether it be flag bearers or bands or whatever it was. And we're just going to amplify that by 10 in the new season. You know, I'm pleased to say we've just had work done on the sound system in the stadium. So that should massively increase our capability to do really simple things like halftime entertainment on the pitch, or presentations or interviews or whatever it is. Birthdays, we can now up the ante on that, have live performances at halftime, have DJs before matches. All this stuff can now be looked at quite quickly. So yeah, there's plenty that we're planning.
The sound system of many years, because we was some presentation, and it was afterwards. I had to check Twitter who it was because I couldn't have a clue.
I don't think any of us here disagree with that.
But
it wasn't good enough.
It is odd because I've been here on some very, very low attended matches, and in the same spot, same person doing the announcements, crystal clear as a bell. It was it's just so weird.
It's been a mystery.
But right, well, we'll move off to another room.
Yeah, sounds good.
Have a look. So we are now in the 1898 bar, which again is another one I've not been into very often. But do you want to talk me through the improvements and changes in here?
Yeah. So again, this is an area for members for the 1898 club. We've been doing it up over the last sort of 6-7 months. So all the furniture you see is new, which we were able to. Actually, we got it luckily from a company in Sutton who were closing down. Quite a large company who basically said, "Do you want all the furniture?" So I couldn't say yes quick enough. But yeah, just lifting the standard all the time. And we're due to put a new floor in the next sort of 4 or 5 weeks from one of our sponsors again. So this is really uplifting a facility like this, which on match day is obviously an imperative part of the members' experience, but also outside of match day, it gives us the ability to rent out to a number of corporate clients and private functions. So it's a really good feather for us to have, because obviously none of this runs on a match day only basis.
Absolutely,
there are events here all the time now. So Monday to Sunday, we have all kinds of people in here, which is imperative for our commercial operations.
And this is where we also had the Friday mornings drop-in.
The coffee morning. The coffee morning is still going. So that's just grown and grown. That's something, it's one of those community things that we're very proud of. I know the guys are also looking at a few other initiatives, whether it be with veterans or with other parts of the community, as well as just the commercial opportunities that are there to be gained. We are looking to expand and develop. So I know there's also a mum's morning in the offering as well. So there's plenty that we're looking at.
Excellent. The last chat we had, we were talking about different commercial opportunities, and you were sort of exploring a lot. We were obviously talking about a few of those. A couple we're going to come back to. So the music festival and the Footballogy app. I can't say it.
Yeah.
We'll obviously come back to. But are there any others that are in the pipeline that you can give us an exclusive on, or not quite there yet, or any others that you're particularly proud of?
Yeah. Well, there's lots in the offing. I think since we brought in both Ryan and Sam, who work in events and ticketing now, the way they have gone about their business and use real entrepreneurial mindset has been really encouraging. And some of the thoughts and the ideas coming up in that space are really exciting. There are definitely things that will be announced in the next few weeks, but it's interesting. You mentioned the music events we've just had. We will be looking to exponentially grow those in 12 months' time in various ways, which I'll allude to them, but I won't get off the fence on. But yeah, I think there's a whole host of events that we're working with other third parties and the council on developing as well. So it's a really exciting time.
Well, the music festival, we're talking a couple of days after it.
You were there?
Well, I was there, yeah. Rosie was a huge fan. So I think she was dancing the most and pushed on through till dawn. But yeah, it was interesting because obviously I wanted to support it and I come along. Not done many of these type of things myself, but they seemed successful. Fairly small crowdings at the start because it wasn't like we didn't want thousands of people rocking up. Obviously, that was that intentional.
Yeah, of course. In the first year, it's like the Puma Fives. It's like Sutton Summer. These were just conversations that happened 4 or 5 months ago, and then we put them in reality. If you went to any small business and said, what are your operating plans in year one? They'd say, we want to break even. We did better than that in year one with all these events. So from our side, we're delighted with how it's all gone. And now we can push on, like I said, tenfold to increase them next year and drive more revenue.
I mean, certainly just from their social medias, the bands and the artists seem to really, really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Some of them very much like being in a football stadium.
Yeah.
But did you get any other feedback from them? And some of them already said, "Can't wait to see you next year."
Yeah, so, they really enjoyed it. I think some of them probably know our potential plans for next year. But I think one of the important things is utilising space we haven't used before. So that space behind the away end, obviously we've just had these 2 events. Then we have some really big private hires coming up for companies, summer parties. So it's thinking differently about the assets we have. Working from a basis that pretend there is no budget, grow a business model and implement it. So from that side, we're all delighted with this summer so far, and we're expecting more over the next 2-3 weeks before the 15th of July.
Excellent. Well, a friend of mine came to this second one.
Yeah.
Because she was very disappointed with the first one because she lives a couple of roads that way.
Yeah.
Didn't hear a thing. And she was like, I didn't even think it was still going on.
That's very good to know.
I heard all about Dustgate from her, and she was definitely one person who would tell me if there was a problem. But yeah, she said, no, didn't hear a single thing. And then when we were there, we're like looking, and it's obviously behind the away stand, and you walk through to the pitch that probably wasn't supposed to. It just blocks it all off. So
it was good.
Really good. And I know it was one of the team that dealt with it, but the Footballogy app, sort of. How I know that's been announced last couple of days.
This is really important, and I think it's really important for us as a club to think really differently. The relationship came around through one of the guys with a chance conversation, and they were a user of the app themselves. And I actually looked at some of the numbers and some of the data behind it, and the hundreds of thousands of people who use the app. It's incredible globally. And I think one of the things we can do
in the sum of all parts, as a club our size, is punch above our weight on partnerships and be first. Be first to do things. And there's other conversations with various other people in different areas, not just technology, happening at the moment where, some of the social media I saw around footballogy was great. Premiership fans saying, why can't we do that? Why aren't we doing that? Which just makes you think, we've done it. This is the way to go. Because the story around Sutton then grows exponentially as well. And, we're trying to give things to fans, that are unique experiences. And the feedback's been phenomenal.
I'm looking forward to my streak of 3 games.
Yeah.
I don't go to the away games.
Good.
So has anything that you've worked towards had any sort of unexpected, like, or unexpected, that I didn't know that was coming, and completely changed the way you kind of work towards it?
I think you try and learn constantly from the people around you, whether it be the people you're working with or the fans or whoever it is. I don't think there's a day where I don't, have those thoughts in my head. But I think, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouths, but making easy decisions is not what this is about. You've got to make the unpopular decisions at times, especially for a club our size trying to grow. You need to keep as much of the fan base with you in everything we do. But, if everything was easy, I wouldn't be here. That's part of the challenge. And you just need to, I've always said those first, at the end of the first season, I remember having a conversation saying the next 18 months is going to be the really difficult period for us. As we continue to grow, we continue to develop, everything gets more expensive. So I think making the harder decisions is required, but also keeping in mind, constantly keeping in mind the fan base and bringing them with us as much as humanly possible.
Beautiful. We'll wrap up this room. Is there another one? Okay, so we've had another little move around, and we're now in the NBA lounge. And what's kind of happening in here? I've been to a few parties in here in the past, weddings and so on. But what's happening in here now?
Yeah, so this is quite an integral room for us. Obviously, on match day, we have the match day hospitality in here, and then it's a big space. Half time, post match, we have a huge amount of events constantly here, whether it be Zumba classes, birthday parties, DJs, and weddings. So it's got to become a multi-functional space. So we are looking at all aspects of furniture we can utilize. We have a new backdrop for the stage, so that will be painted white because obviously it's quite dark back here. As you can see, we have new furniture like this with nice new seats. We'll be getting more of these as well. But yeah, again, just it's been painted recently, but we just need to be able to switch it up for different events more and more. So we will look at the various ways we can do that.
I can't remember what we were talking about. Sorry. So we had a little chat on Saturday, where I had sort of mentioned that my wife and I might need to get a divorce because you said that hopefully it's in the pipeline. I'm not sure if we should be really announcing it, but hopefully it's in the pipeline. We're getting wedding license here.
We've got it.
Excellent.
Yeah, we have a wedding license. So you can now get married in this room, the boardroom, and in the stands, 2 of the stands. So you're able to get married here at very good rates, may I add. And, we want to be competitive with, but we know this is not a castle or a country house, but there are plenty of people out there who want to have small ceremonies, so we can offer those now. And also with the new marquees we have, etc. Plus this room, we can do really fabulous post-wedding dinners, etc., parties. So yeah, it's a new string to our bow. and hopefully, we've already had inquiries for next year. So, watch this space.
Not centre circle yet, though.
Well, no, not yet.
Not yet.
I think you need a different license for outside, believe it or not. So genuinely, the stands were included, but not the pitch. That was a separate one.
And you mentioned the sort of the before match hospitality, which I know it was spoke about at the fans forum.
Yeah,
but not everyone goes to those.
Yeah.
A lot of people have kind of pointed out quite rightly that this is prime real estate for people holding a pint of beer. But there was reasons why we have to kind of have that.
Yeah, it's a real conundrum, but it's something we were actually addressing. And for this season now, we will make sure that the members' bar is the players' bar, members' bar. I don't get it's called both. Is used much more pre-match. So we're making changes to the hospitality before matches. So there'll be table service for those, both food and drink will be table service. We will dress the room really nicely now. So we're just trying to up the standards every season. I think it's not a case of, it's real estate for both. I think there's a place for both. We just need to up. So this is one of the reasons why next door's been done up, to make it a real fans room. So this can become a real hospitality venue before matches anyway.
Yeah, and we there's certain things we have to do anyway.
Yeah,
so we have to provide the hospitality.
Yeah, we have to do it for all the away directors, sponsors, etc. So, if you have to do something, you may as well take it to the maximum it can be. We will, we'll do some very basic things, like obviously I said, the table service, dressing the tables really nicely, little things like not having any overflow. So, before there was overflow in other rooms and it just lost its identity. So we'll just use this room, utilize it to the best of our ability, and just try and up it. So simple things, people get team sheets.
Yeah.
People get shown to their table programs. All these little touches just increase the standards. There are non-league clubs who are doing this. So there's no reason why we should be doing this here.
Okay. And just so I've got some stuff to hold you back to account to next time, what are the kind of short-term goals? And I hate to say it, and everyone hates the phrase, what are the sort of longer-term five-year plan for the club? Obviously, I'm not going to pin you down and say, right, you said 5 years ago we're going to do this. But where are we sort of...
I think...
from a commercial side, sorry, I'm not asking you to do the whole club, just the commercial arm.
Where will we be? I think we need to come, sustainable is obviously key. Whilst we get money from sponsors and from the EFL, we want to make sure we're in a position whereby we can look after ourselves as well. I remember growing up and, a lot of the clubs in the as the Premiership was starting, and it was a lot of, it's a business now. The reality is, we employ quite a lot of people and they need to be paid, and there's families and livelihoods, and, we need, it is a business because there's a payroll, like your day job, there's a business, there's a payroll. So we do have to always keep that in mind. We need to make sure that we grow as quickly as we can, and commercially we've got some pretty punchy targets in place, but they're doable. It's nothing that progressive clubs aren't aiming to do. And look, we're in southwest London on the border with Surrey, or Surrey-London borders, and we're in a prime location. We're surrounded by hundreds of thousands of people. There's some brilliant businesses around us. And as I always say, if you cut London into four, there's no Premiership teams in southwest London. There's no Championship teams. There's no League One teams. So, it's us and the people up the road, and that's it. So there is a huge opportunity. And commercially, we need to take control of our own destiny, and push hard, and we will be.
Excellent. Beautiful. You've avoided the 5-year plan.
Absolutely.
Good,
Absolutely.
Good dodge. We're going to wrap up there. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks to Lucky Star Gin for sponsoring us this season. Don't forget to put eyes on the podcast with the socials, with the liking, sharing, commenting, all that stuff, following, and it really helps get more eyes, ears, whatever on the podcast. But thank you all for everything, and take care. See you soon. Cheers. Bye.
Pleasure.
United! 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 United!